In this ultimate cool tune combo guide, I'm going to showcase to you exactly how to play around Call by the Grave, Droll and Lockbird, Nibiru, Ghost Belle, and Ghost Ogre with just one cool tune Q, one card combo, in addition to all the other combos in this video and how to play off the disruptions. Let's go. For the first combo with Q, we're going to be looking at their hand and see none of these hand traps, and then later on we're going to be seeing those hand traps and then playing accordingly on how exactly what we should do on our own turn and on their turn. Starting off with a normal summon Q. Q on summon will activate to summon from the deck. If you are not summoning Rotary, I could confidently say you are playing the deck incorrectly, and I will showcase why later. Now, we're going to turn these two into a Maker. Maker, Rotary, and Q will now all three trigger their effects. We have two searches, and we're also going to not only look at their hand, but also look at the top of their deck, banish a card, and then put the other card in the bottom or on top. Then we're going to be looking at their hand, searching for the field spell, and then Maker's going to resolve, searching for the cool tune Synchro quick play. We're going to activate the field spell, which will then activate to tribute off our tuner on the field to special summon a Reco from the deck. Reco on summon will activate, searching for a mix. We're going to then normal summon our mix with the additional summon effect of the field spell, searching our deck for another Reco. We're now going to turn both the mix and Reco in hand into a cool tune remix. Now setting the cool tune Synchro to then end our turn to play it out on their turn. Now mind you, we should have full information on their hand and the top of their deck unless we put the card that we saw on the bottom of their deck. Thus, they would only have one unknown card, that is. So they're going to be starting off with a Marshmallow Yummy, special summoning itself on the field. I'm going to use the remix to non-target. Grab two cards in the graveyard. I'm going to put one in my hand and the other on the field, and then I have the option to perform a Synchro summon. So we're going to summon the Reco, grab the Rotary, and we are not going to Synchro with the Reco that we summoned. We're going to be synchroing with the Reco we had already on the field to go into a Maker. Marshmallow comes forth. We're now going to be triggering the effect of Maker to search, Rotary to search, and Reco to search. Search, search, search. If you want to further play around Ogre, you could put the Reco on field on a lower chain link. Now we're going to grab a clip here, and mind you, this is based off of us already seeing their hand completely. Now we're looking at their hand again in case there was anything else of hidden information, and we're searching for a clip, a cool tune Synchro, and another Q. Now we're going to let them commit to a play as they make a Snatchy, which will activate to play a field spell from the deck. That is fine. Now we're going to make a play. We're going to special summon the clip from our hand to then Synchro with other cards. You don't have to Synchro with the clip. It initiates a Synchro on the resolution of its summon. We're going to go into a Zalin. Zalin is being used with the Q in hand plus the Maker on field. Now our effects are going to be triggering here. Maker's going to non-target bounce any card in the field back into the hand, as we also trigger the Q to look at the top cards of the deck, banish one, put the other on the top or bottom, say goodbye to the Snatchy. Now, they're going to follow up with a Lacrima Crimson Tear, activate on summon, dump from the deck. I'm going to have some mercy on them so we could see the full disruptions and how to be playing them. Activating the field spell. Now, in response to anything, it could have been the Lacrima or the field spell, we could chain the cool tune Synchro to search our deck and perform a Synchro, but more importantly, this now turns on the Zalin. Zalin, because we responded to their card effect, it puts the chain on chain link 2 or higher, thus Zalin, only on chain link 3 or higher, is able to now negate one of the two previous chained cards. So what we're going to do is activate to not negate our own card, but negate their card. And destroy. Negate and destroy, goodbye, as we now search for a Reco. And then on the resolution, we are going to Synchro into the cool tune B2B, or back-to-back. This is a double effect on the opponent's turn. If they activate any monster effect, it has to be a monster effect, we're going to be able to special summon a tuner from the graveyard or banishment or add it to the hand. And then also on the resolution on whether we add it or summon it, we could optionally perform a Synchro summon. This should be the main goal of every cool tune player to try to make this on the opponent's turn. He's going to be activating a monster effect. I'm going to be using the effect of cool tune back-to-back to reborn the mix. And then we are going to be synchroing with the hand and the field to go into an RS, not using the mix here, so it could activate to search for a follow-up. Now at the RS, I'm going to level modulate their field. They now cannot make a yummy synchro because they are level 3 instead of level 1. That messes up everything. Mix will trigger, clip will trigger. We're going to randomly banish a card from their extra deck here. Say goodbye, as we also add back the Reco from the grave or from the deck. He's going to further summon. We're going to use the back-to-back again. We're going to be using the Engrave Maker, reborning it, and then we're going to perform a Synchro Summon. Synchroing with the Mix and the Maker going into the Loudness War. That's now going to trigger the Mix to pop any monster on the field. And now, the back-to-back and RS cannot be targeted, and they are indestructible by card effects due to the passive effect of Loudness War. Also, if they activate anything, the Loudness War is going to activate its effect, which we're going to see exactly what that is. They are going to be further making a Little Knight because their levels are messed up. The back-to-back and RS are +3ing onto all their monsters. With the Little Knight on summon, which cannot target our monsters, it's going to activate onto the Loudness War. And we're now going to copy the effect of Mix, or you could copy the effect of Maker. I don't want to return the Little Knight back into the extra deck, but if it were made with the Mask Arena, then it would be indestructible by card effect. We would then not use the Mix, we would use the Maker instead. So we are going to destroy. It's going to be chained to being destroyed. To banish off the field, we're going to use RS, which can only within the main phase banish a tuner from the graveyard to negate anything on the field. It does target, it could be a spell, trap, or monster. Let's negate Little Knight and Loudness War, pop with the Mix, and that is going to be your turn 1 optimal play set up. And the initial plays of this is setting up to also play around all 5 of these different hand traps and or the Call by the Grave. Now, let's get into what you should not do and then what you should do around these cards. Let's now showcase what you should not do against Droll. Do not do this, all right? If you're doing this, you're messing it up. We're going to normal summon the Q. Q is going to activate to summon from the deck into a Mix. I believe a lot of people are making this play. They're either summoning a Mix or they're summoning a Reco. This is not okay because we're going to add from the deck the Rotary to set up the play, and then they're going to hit us with a Droll. And now you have completely messed this up. We can't search with Maker, we can't search with Rotary. We messed up on our double search because you wanted to get a little bit greedy instead of just playing correctly. Now, how to correctly play around Droll, which is all going to stem from the first turn optimal combo play that we did earlier. We're not going to change things up from that until we see their hand or the opponent responds to the play. Thus, the Q is going to summon a Rotary from the deck, not a Reco, not a Mix, because then we lose to a Droll and Lockbird. As we now make the Maker, trigger both effects, get both effects before they could even use their Droll. Chain Link block with the Q, look at the top cards of their deck, banish, and then put on top or bottom whatever you want. And then we see Droll, and we're like, oh crap, what do we do? Well, I'm going to change things up now. Because we saw a Droll, what you could do if you feel like they're not going to use the Droll for some reason, you could still search for the Cool Tune Synchro Quick Play. When they activate Droll, you could then chain to it. Otherwise, if you don't want to waste a copy of the Cool Tune Synchro after literally seeing a Droll and you know they're going to use it, you could then do exactly what I'm doing, just search for the Reco. Now they're going to activate the Droll, as expected. Again, we would just chain the Quick Play if we grab that. Now with the Cool Tune Field Spell, we're going to additionally normal summon the Reco, add from the grave. What the heck is that? We don't need the deck. We're now going to tribute off a Reco, summon the Mix, and then Mix is going to add from the grave again. Just add from the grave. And now we're going to synchro this up into the Cool Tune Remix. Now, let's play out what we should do during the opponent's turn. We got messed up by Droll, right? They activate the Horned Drones. We're now going to use the Remix, which will grab 2 monsters from the graveyard, summon 1, and then use the other to go back to our hand. And what's very important with the Remix is you really want to try to reborn a Reco and then not use that Reco for the Synchro, because then the Reco could search your deck for a clip. So due to that, we summoned a Zalin. Rico's going to trigger. We're going to Chain Link block with the Q. The Maker's also going to non-target bounce any card in the field back into the hand. Goodbye to the token. Look at the top of the deck. And the Rico's going to grab a clip. Now, this is a scenario where if we have clip plus a level 7 synchro and a level 3, we get to make our back-to-back, which is a high priority. Now they're going to continue with their plays, and whenever we want, we're going to be able to decide when we want to negate with Zalin, and then also make the back-to-back. He's going to activate the Requiem. We're going to chain clip, and now the Zalin on chain link 3 or higher is going to activate to negate one of the previous 2 chain links. Do not negate your own card, negate the Requiem, summon the clip, then perform a synchro into the back-to-back. Now, you could be thinking, DK, you're setting up these optimal scenarios where the Zalin is going to negate, and then I don't really want to negate with Zalin, I just want to make a back-to-back. That's fine. The back-to-back in response to an opponent's monster effect can reborn the Zalin back on the field. And with Zalin back on the field, you don't have to perform a synchro with it. You could synchro with your other cards or not synchro at all. And then you may be thinking, well, how is Zalin going to negate something? They're going to activate another monster effect, right? Well, then the back-to-back will chain to that monster effect, and then your Zalin that was resummoned because you didn't negate before can now negate that monster effect the back-to-back is responding to then also, in addition to the negate, you reborn and perform another synchro mate. Now, let's see what happens. The Requiem got negated. Yummy Snatchy, activate, back-to-back is going to be grabbing the mix. With the mix, let's reborn back out, perform our synchro into a maker. That will trigger the mix to get poppin', and since he sees that we are making this play, he gets a little smart. He's going to grab the Acro field spell instead to try to outplay us. This will trigger if we get rid of the Snatchy to summon a monster from the deck. So we have the Clip randomly banishing from the extra deck, popping the Snatchy, grabbing from the deck our Reco, and then he triggers the field spell to summon from the deck a Yummy. That Yummy's gonna be activating whatever it is, and we're gonna use the back-to-back again to reborn the mix, and then with the Reco and mix, we're gonna go into a Cool Tune RS. Now we have an Omni Negate, the Reco pops the back row, the field spell, whatever it is, they're gonna summon into another Snatchy. Now, look at their level. Level 4. Back-to-back, it does not care what kind of attack you are, you're gonna be +2. The RS is going to be only 1700 or less, is going to increase by 1. So with that, he can't make a Yummy Synchro. Thus, he's going to try some other nonsense, Camellia into Kagari, and then we are just going to very simply negate. Negate Kagari, negate anything, does not matter, spell, trap, or monster, RS will negate in the main phase mate. This combo is what do we do if we see a Nibiru in their hand, and we only have one card queue. Now, if you have many cards in your hand, you could very likely, within 5 summons, summon your Zalin, and Zalin could simply negate the Nibiru. Otherwise, with one card queue, let's just play around it. Normal to queue, summon for the deck, Rotary. Remember, we don't change anything until we see their hand or the opponent responds to our play. Now we make the Maker. Maker's going to trigger alongside the Rotary, as we also trigger the queue. Look at the top of the deck, all that nonsense, banish something, goodbye to you. And now we see the dreaded Nibiru. We now have to change our play. We are on summon number 3, and then we're going to use the field spell to tribute off the Maker to summon from the deck into a Reco. That is summon number 4. We are done. We cannot summon again, or we are going to get Nibiru'd. So I'm just going to set the Cool Tune Synchro, and you have to remember, we summon a lot during their turn, which will also allow them to activate Nibiru, so we do want to be mindful of that. To the best of our ability, that is. They're going to normal summon the Cupsy Yummy. I don't know why the Droll is being revealed there, as he's going to be going into the Snatchy. Snatchy trigger to grab the field spell. And now I'm going to be popping off. I'm going to use the Cool Tune Synchro to grab a mix, then perform a Synchro on Resolution to make a Cool Tune Remix. That will trigger the mix to pop the monster and the Reco to pop the field spell. Perfect. Completely wiped out on that, but they normal summoned a Cupsy, thus they now have the Yummy Surprise. With that special summon Snatchy, we're going to respond with the remix. Non-target, grab 2 cards in the graveyard, summon 1, and add the other to our hand. We are now going to perform a Synchro on the Resolution to go into a Maker. That's going to trigger the Maker to search our deck. The Rotary Engrave is going to look at the hand again, and Q is also going to banish another card off the top of the deck. I'm going to get rid of their Hornet Drone so they can't dump it from the deck with the Camellia, as we're now going to grab from the deck a Cool Tune Synchro and a Reco. Now, I saw their hand, and I know they want to special summon their Yummy card, but they can only do that if they control the Link 1, and they already used up their normal summon. Thus, I'm going to be proactively making the play, special summon the Clip on Resolution, Synchro into the Loudness War. Clip's going to trigger randomly banish, the Maker's going to trigger to get rid of the Snatchy. Now, if you've been paying attention, yes, we're at 5 summons. I did have an option to, under 5 summons, summon an RS. The RS itself is also immensely beneficial by boosting up the level of Yummy, thus they can't even go into a Synchro play. Either or is going to work on what you want to do against Yummy. This is just an example of how we were playing around Nibiru, and now that he can Nibiru us, we could still use the Loudness War if he were to not Nibiru. In response to anything activating, let's say they maybe have other cards in the field, we could copy a card in the grave, which would be the effect to return a card in their grave back to the deck. We could look at the top of their deck again and banish. We could banish a card from their extra deck. We could non-target bounce any card in the field, or we could destroy a monster by banishing the mix. So let's conclude that, and he already used up the normal summon. He can't get another Link 1 on the field. We're going to Loudness War, copy the effective clip, banish another card from his extra deck, randomly banishing the Snatchy, by the way. And all he has is a battle phase with his normal summon used up. We outplayed the field spell, the Link 1. We got rid of the surprise play. All of that was played through very well. This combo is now how to play around Ghost Belle and Called By. Now, mind you, Ghost Belle is in fact activatable against many of the Cool Tune monsters because they do not just interact with the deck, they also interact with the graveyard. It's a benefit to play around Droll, but it's also a downside when it comes to Ghost Belle. But the most opportune moment to use the Ghost Belle, the best way to use it, is going to be against the remix. So we're going to assume that they're holding the Belle for the remix. Otherwise, if you feel that they're just going to Belle the Q, then this play instead is just playing around Call by the Grave, all right? So what's so good about the Belle in Call by the Grave? It stops the remix, as I just said. So we want to ensure that we could insulate the remix with a negate or protection or not even summon the remix at all. And again, only if we see the hand do we now change up our play. So let's do this, summon the Q, special summon. They can Belle this if they want to, but they're holding on to it or they only have the Called By. Now we're gonna activate the Maker, the Rotary, and trigger the Q. Look at the top of the deck, get rid of their card, look at their hand, and we're like, holy moly, did not use Belle, what a mad lad, holding it for our remix. He also has Call by the Grave. So we're gonna be adding our field spell and the Cool Tune Synchro quick play. Activate the field spell, tribute off the Maker, summon from the deck, mix on summon, we'll be searching our deck for a Reco. Reco on summon will additionally be summoned with the field spell, searching for a clip. We're now going to be synchroing with our hand and field, going into an RS. Now, we're going to trigger the clip, randomly banish a card from the extra deck, set the Cool Tune Synchro quick play, and let's make a play from here. Now, if we do attempt to go into the remix, we want to make sure we're going to make the remix play within the main phase so that the RS can negate the Called by the Grave. We also want to play around the Ghost Belle. He's got the cookie. We're going to respond with grabbing a clip and then on resolution perform the synchro into a Maker. Maker is going to trigger alongside the mix to destroy his monster. Clip is also going to banish a card randomly from the extra deck. Get that trash out of here as he's now going to be following up with a Hornet Drones. We're going to special summon Clip from the hand. He's going to activate Called By onto the Clip in Grave. So to play around this, there's two different things we could do. We could simply use the Cool Tune RS to banish a tuner to negate the Called by the Grave, or just banish the clip itself to then negate something else on the field. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to banish the clip that was targeted, so we now don't even need to negate the Called By. But if you wanted to negate Called By because it's doing something else and you're not able to, for some reason, banish with the Cool Tune RS, that card specifically, then that's where things would change, all right? So we're going to just negate the Hornet Drones, or maybe there's not even a Hornet Drones in the field to be using this against, and now they don't get their token, and they did not finger our clip. And then clip's gonna come out, and then we're gonna go into this. Now, what if we did not do this at all? If he was not using Call by the Grave, and we didn't have this way to negate the Hornet Drones, we were holding on to RS, right? Well, the play we were making was built to play around the drones right here, right now. Because right now we summoned with the Maker and Clip, and Maker would now trigger to return any card in the field back to the hand. So now we have nothing to return back to the hand because we had the play of the RS instead being forced by the Call by the Grave to protect the Clip by now negating the Hornet Drones or negating the Call by the Grave. So just so you understand all of that. And now, in addition to the Maker, which would have non-target bounce to any other card in the field if there was one, we now have the Loudness War ready to also non-target bounce or destroy a monster, destroy a back row, doing whatever it wants to do. Now, it's worth noting, if they are really holding on to that Belle, then you simply just can't go into the remix. Do not do it, all right? But if they just had Called By, and then you could make this play in potentially when you are ready with the Cool Tune RS and you have full information on their hand, and you feel comfortable enough where you could definitely save your negate for the Called By, then sure, you could make the remix and then make other plays from there. Now we are going to play around Ghost Ogre. We are going to assume that their core idea with the Ghost Ogre is to be saving this against our field spell. You have to remember that our hand is not one card. It's going to be 5 cards. They're not going to want to willy-nilly Ghost Ogre something else, but they will end up having to do so once they find out that we're now going to play around the Ghost Ogre perfectly. So let's do this. Q Q on summon, activate summon for the deck. If they were to Ogre this, remember we have 4 other cards in the hand that we could simply synchro with the Rotary very likely, which can include cards like Ash Blossom and Ghost Belle to synchro with Rotary. Let's now synchro this up into the Maker as we're now going to reveal their hand. No surprises against Kewl here. This is, I would say, quite toxic, right? We're going to be banishing off the top of the deck and then see, oh, you got Ogre. Great, you're saving that for the field spell. Let's not play into that. We would get super blown out here because with the Kewl field spell, we would be tributing off the Maker, then they destroy the Kewl field spell, and what do we do from there, right? Well, because we saw the hand, we're going to be searching for a Reco instead. I'm just going to additionally normal summon, activate. Now, oh, what if the Ogre's here? Okay, then I could use the Kewl field spell. So we're pretending that he's pinning this down. We're going to add the mix, and then we're going to synchro into a true remix. So we got the Maker remix, and that's where he definitively knows that, okay, he's not using the field spell. We have to use Ogre on something else. He's going to summon the Cupsy, searching for the surprise. We're now going to just wait, let him make the Yummy Snatchy, and after the field spell resolves, we're going to choose to activate Remix to non-target, grab a Q, and a Reco. You may be thinking, why not grab the mix? I want the Reco to trigger. Remember, I said this earlier, you ideally want Remix to reborn Reco and then not synchro with that Reco. You want it to search for a clip if you don't already have one in your hand. So we're going to use the Maker and the Q to make the Zalin. We're going to now trigger the Reco to search our deck. The Maker is going to non-target bounce the Snatchy. The Q is going to look at the top 2 cards of the deck, banish whatever we want. And with the Zalin to negate, you're going to want a Kewl Synchro Quick Play or a clip to help facilitate its negate. Or any other hand traps you have possibly. Is going to activate the Yummy Surprise. We're going to activate our Zalin to negate. Now, mind you, the opponent could play some things a bit differently. He could have used Ghost Ogre against the Zalin, sure. Now, we are going to be synchroing on the resolution to go into the back-to-back. This is mostly if they were using the Ogre onto the field spell, but I'll have them just use Ogre onto the back-to-back, all right? The Ogre is going to be really random in how they want to use it. But initially, we played around it perfectly. We popped the field spell. He's going to summon a token. As he now goes into Kagari. Kagari on summon is going to be adding back the drones, which will allow us to activate the back-to-back. He's going to use the Ogre, and in the same chain, double back-to-back. 2 different monsters to reborn and or add, and then special summon a synchro if we want to. So we reborn, and we reborn. We now go into a Kewl RS. We now have a negate. We're triggering the remix mate, or the mix that is. He's going to activate the Hornet drones to summon another token. We're just going to negate. And just like that, we win the duel. And remember, all of this is with the context of we see their entire hand. You could change what you play. If you want to summon a Crackle from the extra deck instead because you see their hand and you believe that this is a better play to do, then you do that instead. This deck is non-linear with the plays that you do on the opponent's turn. You could really change things up. You could even, if you really want to, trigger the effect of Rotary. Let's say you're playing against Sky Striker, they have a Ray in graveyard. You're going to want to have the effect to place the Ray in their graveyard to the bottom of their deck. So much you could do. I will now be showcasing what happens if you have a Mix plus a Veiler. Mix is one of the few cards where it's not going to be a true good 1-card combo. There is a 1-card combo with it, but we don't want to just summon a remix and pass. But do note that you could do that if that's all you have, but otherwise you're very likely going to have a Veiler or any other card in the hand to make plays with. Thus, I'm going to showcase what you should do. And I really want to showcase this one to you because we're going to use the Veiler to synchro and then add the Veiler back to the hand during their turn. So let's do that. Mix on summon, activate to grab a Rotary. Rotary is going to additionally summon itself onto the field, reveal the Veiler. That's okay, we're going to use the Veiler for a synchro anyway to go into the Maker. Let's now trigger everything, as we unfortunately don't have a chain link block with the Q. So because of that, I'm going to be adding the Kewl field spell after looking at the hand. We see the hand, that's great. We now have the field spell. We're going to be tributing off the Maker, grabbing our Q to additionally normal summon. On the additional summon, we're going to activate to summon for the deck a Reco. Reco on summon will be grabbing another mix. With that mix, we're going to use the Q to go into a remix. Now, This is because I really want to look at the top 2 cards of their deck. It can be more optimal for your plays because you're now going to be shoehorned into a certain play, and I'll be talking about that on their turn, where it could be better to have Reco engraved to Reborn with the remix. As I've continually said, you want the Reco to add a clip from the deck on the opponent's turn. But again, more information on their deck so they don't top deck anything nasty against us. And now with that information, we can know what they're going to draw into if we didn't put it into the bottom of the deck, and we end just like this. Now, because we don't have Reco engrave, we're going to have to make a funny play to get the Reco engrave. Otherwise, you could just simply have the Reco engrave. He has the Cupsy Yummy going into the Snatchy. Snatchy play the field spell. So what you should know is either or, whether you use the Reco or the Q, will be fine to do. We're going to use the Cool Tune Synchro Quick Play to grab the Rotary on the resolution of them playing the field spell to now get the Reco engrave. With the Reco engrave, we can now use the remix with it for that cool play of grabbing a clip from the deck. Rotary and Maker are going to be double searching the deck. We also have the Reco popping the field spell. As we look at their hand, we can only grab a spell from the deck, so we are ready with a follow-up play. Now, if you don't want this follow-up play, you could instead use the effect of Rotary to return a card in their grave into their deck. So if you don't want their Cupsy in the graveyard because you fear they have a way to reborn it with the Yummy Surprise, then do that instead. Return the Cupsy to the bottom of the deck, and then you don't have the follow-up of the Cool Tune Synchro, which you generally don't really need. Now we're going to grab a Q from the deck, and then we're going to use Remix to add the Veiler. Veiler to the freaking hand. Oh my Jesus. As we now summon a Reco from the grave, we're going to use the Q and the Maker on field to make a Zalin. With that, the Reco is going to trigger, the Maker is going to trigger, and the Q. We're going to look at the top 2 cards of the deck. Again, banish a card, and we're going to non-target bounce the Snatchy back to the extra deck. As the Reco resolves, grabbing that much-needed Q. Activate Yummy Surprise. We're going to chain the clip so that we could use the Zalin to negate. And be mindful that this could very easily be chain link blocked. I understand that, but just for the showcase of these plays optimally being played based off what the opponent's doing here, the chain link block would be if they activate anything else, then the Zalin's going to be out of reach from the Yummy Surprise. All right, so do understand that. And then you may be thinking, well, what do you do then? Do you still make a back-to-back? Yes, then the back-to-back could reborn the Zalin back and then negate something else later. So it's not that big of a deal. Again, these are non-linear plays. You're going to be making your plays based off of what the opponent does. And again, you see their whole freaking hand. So you can pretty much just predict exactly what they're going to do. Hornet Drones, unfortunately, back-to-back is not in response to any card effect, only monster. They're now going to Kagari, which allows the back-to-back to reborn back the mix, and we're going to Veil or negate the Kagari. And this is where you're going to have to do what you want here. You're going to have to be accounting for what you know it's in their hand, what they have in the field. Do you want to pop? Do you want to make an RS? And because I bring this up right now, because for this play, I'm going to be summoning a 3rd copy of Maker. Maybe only play 2. But again, non-linear plays, you choose what to do. You're just going to be kind of seeing the ceiling of what you can do with the deck, and then you're going to have to freestyle it yourself after you have all the information of what's in their freaking hand. Let's clip, banish from the extra deck, pop away their monster, and we still had another back-to-back, but I was too lazy to give them another effect and redo this whole replay. Let's hop into another one. Now, because I wanted to show you the mix play with Veiler, we're now going to see mix with Ash Blossom, Belle, any level 3 tuner in the hand will make this play. Mix on summon, search our deck for the Rotary, additional summon the Rotary, and then we're going to use the Rotary plus the level 3 tuner to make our synchro play. Yes, this is worth it, even if you have Ash Blossom. You are going to be looking at their hand. Remember that? You see their hand, you get to search for 2 cards. This is the way. Thank you for your hand. We're going to be searching for 2 cards. And let's now continue by using the field spell. We're going to tribute off the mix, not the Maker, to grab a Q. Additional summon the Q, summon from the deck a Reco. And mind you, if you see Nibiru, you're not going to play into a Nibiru here, obviously. Reco is going to be searching for the mix, as we're now going to be further synchroing into our Zalin play. We're going to trigger the Q, look at the top 2 cards, as we're now going to, with the Reco in the mix, make a remix. And then we set the quick play and win the duel. Overtake. Let's activate summon from the deck into mix. Mix will activate search in our deck for the Q. Q is going to be our regular normal summon here as we activate to summon from the deck into our Rotary. With our Rotary and Q, let's go into the Maker to immediately take a gander at their hand. Rotary trigger alongside the Maker, and Q is going to be chain link blocking it all. Let's look at the top two, banish a card. As we see their hand, we don't care. We're going to grab a field spell and additionally grab the Cool Tune Synchro. Now with the Cool Tune field spell, let's tribute off the mix, special summon a Reco. Reco on summon, search our deck for another mix or grab from the graveyard. As we now synchro into a remix, set and pass. What a great play. Just like that, we got our synchro overtake. Now we can play a little bit of it out as they're summoned the cookie into the Snatchy. Snatchy activate to play the field spell. We're going to use the remix to add back the Q. Reborn the Reco as we synchro with the maker and the Q going into the Zalin. Now we're going to use the Reco to add a clip from the deck as the maker non-target bounces the Snatchy as the Q looks at the top two cards of the deck. Very nice. As we now say goodbye and search for the clip. What they have now is they're going to Hornet Drone. We're going to use the Cool Tune Synchro to then chain Zalin to negate the Hornet Drone. And we're now waiting with the clip whenever we want to make our back-to-back or just do so with the Cool Tune Synchro. So because we already used the Zalin, we made sure to do it. We're going to be popping away the field spell and summon a clip. Clip and the Reco are going to simply go into the Cool Tune RS because I know it's in their hand, I'm the opposing player, and I know they have no other plays to use our back-to-back against. Otherwise, you could wait for the back-to-back to reborn cards, and otherwise we now have an Omni Negate. Omni Negate, two more back-to-backs mate. Let's freaking go. Clip, don't forget to banish, and now we win. One card Reco on summon. Reco will be grabbing a Rotary, synchroing with the Rotary to come forth into the maker. We're going to trigger the Rotary and the maker, and if you didn't know at this point, the card on field, if negated, could still synchro with our hand. It's a condition, not an effect. As you grab the field spell and the Cool Tune Synchro quick play, tribute off the maker, summon from the deck a mix on summon, searching for the Q, as we now get to additionally summon the normal Q, as we activate to reborn the Synchro from the grave. This is a little bit different here, so make sure you're paying attention. Now we're going to turn the mix and the Q into the remix, to then take a gander at the opponent's deck. I see you, I banish you, I set the quick play synchro, and I'm ready to win. Rotary plus any level 3 tuner in your hand, which will be many of the different hand traps. It could be Belle, Ogre, Moonlit Chill. Let's do it. Additional summon the Rotary by revealing the tuner that you plan on synchroing with. Let's make our maker and Rotary. Let's search our deck. Grab the Cool Tune field spell. You could grab the quick play instead here, all right? And then look at their hand, then grab the field spell after gaining information from the hand, okay? So make sure you do that instead. After seeing their hand and doing it in the correct order, not as I showed you here, but I showed you in the other combos, let's activate the field spell, tribute off the maker, summon for the deck, mix. Mix is going to be grabbing from the deck our Q, additional normal summon, to then summon from the deck or grave. We're going to be summoning the Reco activate, grab our clip from the deck, and let's now synchro this up. You could make an RS, or you could have searched for a Rotary to then turn this into the level 4 maker to end with. And then also we're going to be using the clip, banishing the extra deck, and then we're going to turn these two bodies on field into the remix. Trigger the Q, look at the top two cards. I do like this end board quite a lot, more so than the level 4, because it gives us the versatility of negating a card effect right away in main phase 1 and not doing so later, and also having the option with the Cool Tune Synchro to simply synchro the remix and the RS itself into an early back-to-back if we choose to do so. And then the back-to-back could reborn the remix back to then use its effect. The back-to-back could also reborn back the RS if we want to. There's a lot of cool plays we could do. You look at your hand and you think you just bricked. No, you did not. You have a full combo play. Let's normal summon our clip. Clip plus a level 2 tuner, so that would be 2 clips, or clip plus a delta, or as you see here, the gamma. Let's make the maker and the clip chain link block our search, banish from the extra deck, and from that banish alone, you will gain some information of, oh, okay, we're playing against Yummy. We're going to be searching for the field spell with that information. As we now activate the field spell, tribute off the maker, summon from the deck into the mix. Mix will be searching our deck for the Q. Q will be additionally normal summoned with the field spell. Activate to summon from the deck into Reco. Reco will be searching for our Rotary. Now we're finally going to be gaining information on their hand. So let's first look at their hand. Now that we see their hand, we can make a more informed decision with the Q to look at the top 2 cards of the deck. So if you really want to look at their deck first instead of their hand, you could just switch up the order based off of seeing the deck, then search, or seeing the hand, whatever you want to do. We make the remix, trigger the Q, Now that we have seen their hand, we know exactly what to expect unless we put the card on the bottom of the deck in addition to banishing the other. Let's set and pass, and that is our full combo play with the clip plus any level 2 tuner. Now, before showing you how the deck is built, I'm going to quickly touch up upon Super Polymerization. I think this card is great against Cool Tune. You definitely want to have a sea monster of the Theseus in your extra deck to ensure that the Super Poly could fuse up whatever they have on the field. Imagine this, you see their hand, they have a Super Poly. What the heck are you gonna do? They're gonna fuse with your field pretty much with whatever you do. So with that mindset of them being able to see any other card you may have in your hand to try to counter them, this is gonna be one of the cards that is gonna be very difficult for them to try to counter. Now, they can play around this. They could just simply remix and then remix go into an RS, just stay to one body on the field, but still, it's gonna severely cripple their plays just knowing that this card exists. But again, there's no surprises against this deck because that's how the deck works. And beyond that, I'm going to be showing you the tournament-only filter. Boom. So if you want to support the website, click on Pro. That greatly helps us fund everything. And otherwise, this is from 6 different tournament tops on how the deck is played. In Master Duel, that is. This is not TCG or OCG. We're also going to have a tournament on twitch.tv/Decade this Sunday, and it's every single Sunday. So if you ever want to see the latest way people are playing or building their decks or countering counters, it's going to be through the tournaments. So anything that's in line with this, then you're in a good spot. So it's something that could be confusing here is, how is someone not playing Overtake? Huh? What the heck? Well, one of the Mad Lads, which we should probably move their deck, he was playing Crystron. Abdullah, what a mad lad. So this obviously is not how you want to play your pure Cool Tune, but this is how you want to play it with Crystron. And due to it maybe messing up the analytics a little bit, maybe I will move the deck into its own category and put it under Crystron. That's the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And if you want to immensely support me, like, comment, subscribe, and or show up to my Twitch stream on Sundays. Let's go.